What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Kids Talk Sports Podcast. And on today's episode, I have a MLB special for you guys today. I'm going to be talking about some big deals during the trade during free agency that happened this offseason, and I'm going to be talking about who I have to win every division. Maybe talk about some teams to watch out for this year and some big deadline moves. We're right around the corner from the start of the MLB season. Spring training just started, so and then I also have a shout out. Before we get started, I have a shout out to give. This week's shout out goes to Cooper. Shout out to Cooper for answering this week's question of the week. They said that their favorite basketball team is UConn. UConn is number 1 for men's, and for women, the number 1 is South Carolina, and number 2 for women is UConn. And last week that Cooper went to a game and met Paige Becker, and it was amazing, and their team is on fire. So Cooper's favorite team is UConn. Shout out to Cooper for listening to the episodes. I really appreciate it. And if you guys want to shout out, make sure to answer question of the weeks. And I do have another question of the week for you guys to answer this week. So stay tuned for the end of the episode for that. So let's get into it. So first up, we'll start with some deadline moves. So the first deadline move that we're going to talk about is the New York Yankees trading for Marcus Stroman. Now, I think this is a really, really good trade for the Yankees. Now, they were talking about Cody Bellinger going to the Yankees. I thought maybe Cody Bellinger was going to go more than Marcus Stroman, but I'm glad that Cody Bellinger did not go to the Yankees, because if you didn't know, I am a Cubs fan, but I hate the Yankees. But I think this is a really good move for the Yankees. They have Aaron Judge now, really good hitting. They have really good hitting. They have really good offense. Their fielding is okay, I'd say. But adding Marcus Stroman is just going to make their pitching rotation way, way, way better. And I think this is like the pitcher that they needed, that they could maybe make a deep run in the playoffs this year. So I'm gonna be grading every move. I think this is an A+ move for the Yankees to acquire Marcus Stroman. The next move that we have is the Houston Astros signing Josh Hader. Now, this is a very interesting one, because I do not see Josh Hader going to the Astros at all. I did not see that coming. I thought he would stay with the Brewers. I don't really like this move by the Astros. Here's why. First of all, they have really good starting pitching, and they have one of the best bullpens in the league already. They have a great offense, so they really, really don't need anything. And I think this is a bad move because Josh Hader is getting older. He hasn't really been pitching that well. Last year, and 2 years ago, he really wasn't that good for the Brewers. So I'm going to give this a B for this move, because it's a good move, but it's a good move because Josh Hader, but it's also a bad move at the same time because he's getting really old, and they really don't even need him. Their bullpen is pretty good without him. So next move we have is Clayton Kershaw returning to the Dodgers. The Dodgers, I don't know what they're thinking with this. No offense to Clayton Kershaw. He's one of the best pitchers of all time. But he is washed. Clayton Kershaw is absolutely washed. It's not even funny. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's just really, really washed. And I don't think this was a good move to re-sign him. Part of it makes this a good move because he's veteran presence in the locker room. And the good thing about getting Clayton Kershaw is so he's a veteran presence, and the Dodgers have a lot of young starting pitchers. So this is going to be really good for the young pitchers to get because Clayton Kershaw has so much experience. So it's going to be good for the young pitchers to get experience from him and all that stuff. So I think that's the good side of this. The bad side is that Clayton Kershaw is just not good anymore. He can't throw fast at all. He just can't really pitch. So he might lose him some games. But I'm going to give this a B+, because it can be a really, really good re-signing, because I would have liked to see him maybe re-sign him as a pitching coach instead of a player, but I don't think he would have done that. But I think he's going to be a really good mentor for the young pitchers coming up, but I do think he might lose them some games. So I'm going to give that that offseason move an a B+, sorry. Next up, this is probably my favorite move that's happened in the offseason. Corbin Burns to the Baltimore Orioles. This is going to make the Baltimore Orioles dangerous, like really, really dangerous. This team is going to be very, very, very good. They're going to have, Corbin Burns on the pitching rotation. They're going to have Adley Rutschman, Jorge Mateo, Cedric Mullins, all those guys. And they were literally the 1 seed in the playoffs last year for the American League. And they're really, really young still, so I think that's also a good thing. So they've got a lot to come, and adding Corbin Burns is first just going to give them a veteran presence. Then it's going to give them a Cy Young type caliber and a number 1 pitcher. So this is definitely my favorite move that anyone's made in the offseason. This is getting the A+++++ forever and on. This is a very, very good move by the Baltimore Orioles. Now we've got probably the biggest one of them all. Shohei Otani going to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, this is a good move. I just hate the move, though. I hate it. Shohei Otani is now on the Dodgers, and the Dodgers have had probably the best roster in the MLB last year. And now you're adding the best player in the MLB. You're adding the person who was the best player in the MLB last year to the best roster. It's like, it's going to be impossible to stop the Dodgers. They're definitely my World Series favorite. It's going to be impossible to stop them. It's going to be really, really hard. They're going to have Shohei Otani, Mookie Betts. They're going to have a crazy stacked pitching rotation too. So it's going to be crazy, and we'll see how the Dodgers do, but I'm going to guess that they are absolutely going to dominate. So Shohei Otani goes to the Dodgers. Now we've got our last deal before I talk about our last move in the offseason before I talk about who I think will win each division. So this is the last move. This is my favorite move, like just for me, because it's Cody Bellinger re-signing to the Cubs. And as you know, I'm a Cubs fan. Cody Bellinger was great last year. Re-signing to the Cubs for a 3-year, $80 million deal. $80 million deal. But he can opt out after the first year, I think. But, man, I really like this play by the Cubs because they've lost a lot of people this offseason. They've also gotten some people, but not like high market players. So I think that's great for the Cubs to get him. And the Cubs also have Craig Counsell as their new manager, who they stole from the Brewers. So that's absolutely going to help them a lot. So I think the Cubs could be pretty solid this year. So to recap all these moves that we talked about, we talked about the Yankees acquiring Marcus Stroman, the Houston Astros signing Josh Hader, Clayton Kershaw returning to the Dodgers, Corbin Burns to the Orioles, Shohei Otani to the Dodgers, and then Cody Bellinger, the Cubs re-signed Cody Bellinger to a 3-year, $80 million deal. So those are the off-season moves that I wanted to talk about. And now I'm going to give you my prediction who I think will win each division this year in the MLB. So we'll start with the NL Central, where you might think I'm a little biased on this, just a little biased. I'm going with the Cubs to win the NL Central. Here's why. Now, they by any means, they don't have the best roster in the NL Central. I think the NL Central is going to be interesting this year because the Reds, the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Cardinals are all kind of probably going to be pretty close to each other. I do have the Cubs. Here's why. First of all, they re-signed Cody Bellinger. Might be the best player. No, okay, never mind. I'm not saying the best player in the NL Central because there's guys like Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. But Cody Bellinger is one of the best players in the NL Central, so they got him back. The Cardinals, they probably have the best roster. Just don't know if they can put it together. The Brewers lost to Josh Hader and their manager, so the Brewers are just a mess right now. And the Reds are still really young. So that's why I'm going with the Cubs to win the NL Central this year. In the NL West, it's a no-brainer. I'm going with the Dodgers to win the NL West. I really got nothing to say. It's just they have the best roster in the MLB. It's just stacked. Like, it's going to be unfair to play against them. In the NL East, I'll go with the Atlanta Braves. They're the Dodgers and the Braves. The Dodgers probably have the best roster in the league. Then it's probably the Braves or the Astros at number 2. So I think the Braves could be really solid and maybe beat the Dodgers in like the NLCS this year. For the AL Central, I've got the Minnesota Twins winning this. The AL Central is a really interesting division because you got teams like the White Sox who can be good and they can also be horrific. You got teams like the White Sox, the Twins. You got teams like the Tigers who they could be solid this year. They have a good young team. They could be solid this year. But I'm just going with the Twins. I think they are the best team in that division right now. But you also got teams like the Guardians who could be really good too. In the AL West, you already know I got to go with the defending World Series champions, the Texas Rangers. And in the AL East to close it out, I've got the Tampa Bay Rays. This might be surprising to you, why? Because I didn't pick like the Yankees or the Orioles. Okay, yeah, I just realized that I'm picking the Orioles. Here's why: because they've got Adley Rutschman. They've got a really good young team, which is pretty usually good. They just added Corbin Burns. They're going to be unstoppable. I've got the Orioles winning the AL East. And so that is going to be the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. But before I go, I have a question of the week for you guys to answer. So this week's question of the week is, what is your favorite MLB team? Again, this week's question of the week is, what is your favorite MLB team? You can send in your answer to my email. Again, my email is talksportswithmason@gmail.com. So if you'd like to answer one of my question of the weeks, send it to my email. My email is talksportswithmason@gmail.com. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure if you'd like to, go check out my YouTube channel, Game with Mace. And as always, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you next time.